Okay, I am so excited to share some more BJU Math with you guys. This video is going to focus on Math 6, which we started probably 6 weeks ago. I wanted to share some first impressions of how it's going, and then I want to share a look through of all of the things that came with it. We went ahead and got the kit. One thing that's kind of a bummer about BJU is if you want to piece things out, you're going to end up spending more money. It's actually cheaper to buy the kit than it is to buy just one or two things from the kit. So we do have all of the pieces. I'm going to discuss them with you and show them so you can see all that it contains, and I'm going to let you know how it's going so far. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jamie, and this is Simply Learning Together. I love sharing curriculum with you guys, and I always do it in hopes that it can kind of help you see inside the books, because that's something I love to do. It's really hard to make a decision when you can't open it up and look at it, and that is my goal here for you today. So let's just jump in. The one difference that stood out to me, the very first thing with BJU Math 6 is the text. I have it all marked up to show you. It's no longer called a work text. It's just one textbook, okay? And the material of the paper is not that workbook material. It's like a textbook, almost like a reusable textbook material. Does that make sense? Now, you could use pencil and write directly in the text if you wanted. I've circled some problems with a pencil in here before, so like it's writable, but at this level you need a lot more room than they give you. So that has been something new for us this year, is transferring all of the work to a notebook. So that's one of the experiences that I'm going to share with you. Okay, so let me show you everything that came in the kit. We've got the math text, and then we've got two assessment pieces. We've got this one and this one, and then one of them is the key and one of them is the assessments. Then we have this is new to me, this teacher edition companion, and I'll share that with you. And then the teacher edition comes in two parts, so the first half of the book and the second half of the book. So let's take a look at the textbook. This is the fourth edition. We'll start by just kind of glancing at the table of contents so you can see what the chapters consist of. And then I will start with one chapter and walk you through it, and then I'll just do a quick flip through. So this is chapter 1, which always starts out with this decorative page and a picture of a real student, and then it will usually ask a question. So when we go to the lessons are actually introduced with a question as well. At the top here, you have the whole instruction of what the lesson is about. There's key terms, there's charts, there's notes, and there's examples. Then you have an exercises section where you're practicing what was taught here at the top. Then there is practice and application, which seems to be more of a variety of review. So I will flip through this chapter so you can see the different lessons in this chapter 1. You can see the pattern of the lesson, the exercises, and the practice and application. This right here is just kind of a random page of facts. They have these throughout. Usually it's kind of focusing on some type of mathematician or maybe a scientist. Not really any work for the student to do, but maybe a question to think about. So we continue with this chapter 1. And then we get to the chapter review. This chapter review is everything that you just learned. Afterwards, you have a cumulative review, and it is like that for every chapter. So at the end of the chapter, review, then cumulative review. And then we go into chapter 2. So now that I'm here, I'm just gonna flip through all the chapters so you can see a couple pages from each one, and then I'll point out a couple more things. One thing I do want to point out as we come to the end of the chapters is I mentioned that the lesson is taught here. Every so often they'll put another box after the exercises or in the midst of the exercises with either a reminder or one more thing to look at. And that's just all throughout the book. You can see here's the lesson, but then there's one more thing right here. So anything that they want to be taught is boxed off. Just like in the other textbooks, there's always some type of focus every so often, and in this book is no different. Every few chapters, there is just kind of information to look at, and then sometimes even a little STEM activity or some type of question and answer format. And this is not after every chapter, it is just randomly throughout. At the end of all of the chapters, you have your daily reviews, and you'll notice it's separated by chapter. So I will just kind of flip through one. You can see there's about 20 problems in this one. And these were the chapter reviews for chapter 1. And then here we get into chapter 2. If you want to kind of see how it progresses, here's the ones labeled 10. And then we can go towards the end and see a few here. Oh, that was the last one. I'll go backwards. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the textbook. So like I said, this text is really not a writable text. I mean, you could if you wanted to. There's not a lot of space for work at all, and the material is completely different. So this year we have worked in a notebook, and we found a really good rhythm, I feel like. I also just felt like it was a good teaching moment. She's never really had to take notes before, or set up anything on paper. So we've had some really good conversations about organization and showing your work and how helpful it can be to go back and look at your work. Okay, so the pattern that we have come across that has been super helpful is when I teach her the text, I do the example problems on one side of her notebook. I write notes and example problems on this page. And I don't come up with them on my own. I'm literally just doing what's in the textbook at the top, okay? And then we do some example problems here, and then she can go back to them as well. If she was the type that learned better by writing it, I would probably make her write out the thing, but that's not her type. She is not the note type. She is more just like the sponge type. And I hope you know what I mean by that. Like, all kids are really different. So it is better for her to just watch me work it out, and then she's got it. I am the note type. I enjoy writing it down. So maybe you have a child that would benefit from writing a few down in a note page. Okay, so then the note page is here. If the textbook provides us with anything in the back of the book, and you'll see that in a minute, so we've glued it in here before. So this has just become a really resourceful notebook. And then on the next page, she does her assignment. And I have her practice labeling and dating, and I've taught her how to organize her work so that we can read it and understand it and find answers easily. So this was kind of a learning curve here, but it's been great. And now she kind of actually prefers to do it on the paper. So when we do the lessons, the notebook is necessary, and I got one of these big fat ones to make sure that we had plenty of space. The next thing I'm going to show you is the teacher guide. Like I said, it comes in 2 parts. That last year and this year of the teacher guide have been super helpful. One, because I can't do the problems very fast, and so for grading purposes, the teacher edition becomes so helpful in grading. The other thing I've noticed is at this higher level math, there have been multiple times now where I need a refresher on how to complete this. And I get a little bit panicked when I see it, thinking I don't remember. But then as I read through what the teacher guide has, and I'm going to show this to you, all this stuff down here is a script. And so we have had a day where we've sat down for math, and I'd say, oh, mommy needs to study. You're gonna have to go play. I got to figure out what's going on here. And I just read through this script, and I got it, you know? And so then it's so helpful. And I've even had days where I'm like, okay, that awkward robot reading right from it because I'm just really not sure. But you know what? It's okay. We don't have to be perfect at this. We're learning with her. So by the time I read it and then read it to her and then practiced with her, I knew it too. So we're growing and learning in math together. So the teacher edition is super helpful for grading purposes and the script when you need it. There are definitely things in here that I don't pay attention to, like these engage things. And sometimes they have like an object lesson to introduce the lesson. I don't do that. I use the lesson, the textbook, to teach it, and then she goes ahead and does the examples. If your child needed something like that, I definitely would read through and see what they provide. This is the Math 6 Teacher Edition. This is only part 1. They're both set up the same, so I'll just show you this first one. When I flip through the front pages, I'm just gonna kind of pause in case you want to pause this video and read through some of this information. So we start with biblical worldview shaping, building academic rigor, technology solutions. This is to explain what they have online. Instructional materials, the teaching cycle. And then this breaks down a lesson, which I'm going to show you as well. How you can review certain skills and what's new to this specific edition. Here they have a lesson plan overview. It's only going to go to the lesson 11 because this is only part 1, but it'll tell you what pages they're on, different materials you may need, and what the topic is. Okay, so here we'll do the same thing we do with the textbook and just kind of look through one chapter. So here's to open up chapter 1. And then we go into a lesson. You'll notice they have these little tidbits of information here and different ways to engage your student and how to instruct them. When you get to this section here, they have a script for you. So you'll see the blue text is the script and the red text is the answers. And I don't really use that all the time, but I have found that when I do need it, it is very helpful. So we can go to the next page. You can see this is the picture of the lesson that the student is completing, and the answers are right here as well. And then when you turn the page, this is the daily review that is paired with this specific lesson. So they have this and the answers for that. Then we have some more activities, ways to apply, and some notes that you might want to take. A lot of this stuff I never even look at. Most of the stuff I'm looking at when I use the teacher edition are the answers and the script if I need it. Okay, so then we get into a second lesson. So let me point out a few more things in this book. If you go to, this would be kind of how to use those STEM lessons that are throughout every few chapters. In the back, there's a page of solutions. So if you get to a lesson and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, they don't have the answer there for me. They have a page where they just didn't fit the answer in there. So that's good to know. Okay, then we work into this page. It's just an extra page and it says explaining the gospel. And then back here, we kind of have some black lines. So these are different aids when you're teaching the lesson that you can use. And I'll just flip through a couple of them. We have used these to maybe, I'd make a copy and then I cut out, this is the one we used, and we pasted it in the notebook and it was really helpful. So I just recently found these and yeah, they're here if you need it. You'll notice they also have this bubble in testing form. If you wanted to do the cumulative review, they have the option of doing this. All right. And then if you need answers for any of that stuff, it's in the back as well. And that's the teacher edition. Next, we're going to look at the assessments. These come in 2 different pieces, and I didn't want these. Okay. But once again, it was the kit. that like the kit was cheaper than just buying the teacher edition and the workbook. How does that work? I don't know. Okay, so the kit comes, they have the assessments packet, and then they have this key, which has all of these. Okay, so the reason I didn't want them is because there is a chapter review in the chapter. To me, that serves as an assessment. If she was the type that needed extra practice, where we do the chapter review and then a test, then I would probably get that. But normally, we're working one-on-one all the time. By the time we get to the end of the chapter, I can just give her the chapter review as an exam and call it good. But it was cheaper to get the kit, so we have been using these as well. You'll see in here at the 6th grade level, it also comes with quizzes, which is new, that was not in 5th grade. Okay, so let me kind of show you what these look like. These are the assessments. They come in 2 pieces. The first is this assessments. These are the actual tests. You'll notice they're bound together by this little, I don't know, glue strip, so you can rip them out, which is nice. But then the answer key is not. So that is kind of frustrating. There's a cardboard backing, and then they are hole punched. So they would probably fit well in a binder, obviously. But mine usually end up just laying out. Okay, so let's take a look at the assessments. The one thing that is different in the 6th grade compared to the 5th grade, there are quizzes. And it looks like there are 2 quizzes per chapter plus the test. So here's chapter 1, quiz 1. You'll see it's just one-sided. Chapter 1, quiz 2. And then there's more. Oh, the test is gone because we took it. I went, where's the test? Let's go further where we're not at. So chapter 4, quiz 2, and then here's a test. The test is usually front and back. I have seen one where there's extra on the other side. So all of this is in here. You'll notice there's really no cumulative. That was in the textbook. Okay, when you go to the assessments, it's exactly the same, except it's the answer. So we'll just kind of flip through this. It's all black and white, and you don't need to see it all, but I just wanted you to be able to see that this is how you get the answers for the assessments. The other thing that is new that did not come with the 5th grade kit when I had it, I don't know if these come with every level now or if it's something just for 6th grade, but this is called the Teacher Edition Companion. And at first I was kind of confused by it, but once I looked at it, I could understand. I believe, and this is just my assumption based on what's in here, I believe that this can be helpful for planning purposes because it eliminates a lot of extra pages. When you plan your year and you have these teacher guides, which is full of stuff, you know, it's constant flipping and figuring out what's going on. And then plus there's extra, there's assessments, there's the textbook, there's resources in the back, there's reviews. So that is something that can be hard to flip through. This allows you to see it all in one spot, which I would assume they're trying to make it more helpful for planning purposes. So for example, if I wanted to plan my week and I'm on lesson 34, I can open it up and you're gonna see this, and everything I need for lesson 34 is gonna be right here. And there's pictures of different things that you need, and everything I need for lesson 35 is gonna be right here. And then all you have to do is turn the page and you're on the next lesson. So I think if you really liked planning and recording things, it's a quicker way to do with less flipping through all of the things. So let me show you inside this so you can see it up close. When we open this up, it's got a table of contents and how to use your companion. And I'll pause here if you want to stop it and look at anything. A lesson plan overview. And you'll notice this is for all the chapters, okay? Then let's skip ahead to where we get into the lessons. I'll kind of jump to the middle so you can kind of see more of what it is. So this is how it's set up. The objectives are here. Any resources that you need for this lesson are here, materials, and then these are optional assignments. So you've got this quiz plus doing these pages. You can take the quiz, do these pages, odd problems only, and the daily review, or you can do all of it. So you can decide what's best for your student. But I will just have a little disclaimer here. You're the parent. You don't have to do this. You can decide what you think is best. Okay. But I do love that they put that, because it's proof that you can really manipulate a curriculum for your child. Okay, so then this is just a small picture of what you need in the exercises in your textbook. And then if there is an instructional aid, those black lines I showed you in the back of the book, it does have a picture of that as well in here. So this is really nice for planning purposes. I'll just flip through. There you go. Okay, so to wrap this up, let's kind of talk about my first impressions and our experience using this. We did start BJU in 4th, worked all the way through 5th, and then now this is 6th. I'm still very happy with the curriculum and how it's set up. It feels like traditional math, like something that I would have grown up with. Some people might not like that. I personally find a lot of comfort in it. It's easy for me to teach. It's easy. It's how my brain works. And so, since I am the teacher, it's really helpful that it kind of works together with us in that way. I talked to you about the textbook and how the material of the pages is different. I talked to you about the notebook and how that was necessary, but it's been a really good learning experience. I will say that a lot of times I open up a textbook and the beginning of the text is just like tons of review, and you can kind of move through it quickly. And I even mentioned that in my other video about Math 1 and Math 3, which I just did a flip through of if you want to check it out. I almost did that with this Math 6, and I am so glad I didn't. I don't know what it is, but somehow the content seems more challenging. You're working with bigger numbers, that's for sure. There's more problems. The questions are a little bit more abstract at times. The lessons, I feel like they're introducing a couple multiple things and then applying it to the exercises that you're doing. So it's just kind of it's definitely a jump up. Like, oh, suddenly you're a big kid, like you got to work hard, right? But it's been okay. It's been a growing process and it's good. I mean, she's in 6th grade. I basically spend about, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes teaching her what the lesson is, and then I assign her problems. So far, I've only assigned even problems, and I don't even do all of them. Like sometimes I'll skip some of the review problems. I only assign the evens, and it usually takes her anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes to do the assignment. So that's a big difference from the past. I mean, I feel like usually she could kind of get her math done in 20 minutes, and now the work is taking a lot longer. So that is something to consider. But I feel like it's appropriate. I feel like it's appropriate for her age. I don't have a complaint about that. I'm just telling you the facts. So it definitely takes longer for her to do the lesson. Once the lesson is complete, then I sit down with her again and grade it. And then whatever she made error on, we go over that together to look at that. I will say I've talked about grades and how putting in our best effort is important. And I've kind of talked with her how it's important to get like 80% of the work correct, because then it shows me that you know it and we can move forward. And so we have had those discussions, and I've been putting percentages on her last few assignments because I needed a little fire. Does that make sense? Like I needed to say, like, you can't just get it wrong and then I'm going to help you through it. I want you to get it so that I know that we can move on. So I think that these are all things that are really great at this age, at 6th grade. She's 11, and I feel like, we're getting new responsibilities. We're figuring out new things. Our work is getting harder. we have higher expectations, I do feel that's all a part of it. Okay, we talked about in the textbook, there's no longer the review textbook, right? They have the daily reviews in the back of the text. And I showed those to you. It's like 20 problems here. Can I be honest? It feels like busy work to me. We have not done it because first of all, her assignment already takes 30 minutes or more. And then to top that onto it, I feel like it would add another 15 minutes of work. So we've skipped it completely. To me, some people use these textbooks in the classroom. To me, that would be kind of like a warm up. Like you walk into the classroom, you want to get the kids started on something, you put it on their desk as soon as they come in so they're ready to go. In a home setting, I find it absolutely unnecessary. I find it to be busy work, which is what it's used in the classroom for too. So to keep them busy. All right. But those are just the facts, people. We skip it. If I looked through it and felt like she really needed it, I would give it to her. But in the lessons, there's review problems at the bottom where I don't feel like it's necessary. So she is getting review throughout. There's also cumulative tests in here. So if I felt like I wanted her to do a bunch of review problems, I could have her do that as well. So yes, there are daily reviews. We have yet to do any one of them. The other thing that we really don't use are the quizzes. But once again, I don't find it necessary. If I had 25 students and I wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page, then yes, I can see how a quiz might help me do that. But I have one student and I love her dearly and I know what she's capable of because I'm working with her one-on-one all the time. So quizzes to me are absolutely unnecessary. Then lastly, I want to mention this teacher edition companion. I thought when I got this how helpful it is because it has different options here for the work that you can do, like a lighter assignment, a little heavier, and the heaviest assignment. Okay, so I thought that would be really helpful for some people. I will say that I assign her even lighter than what they have for their lightest option. So their lightest option is just the lesson pages. And I do only the evens and I find it to be just fine. So I think that it's always just so important to know that these are the guide. I do, however, love that they are trying to let people know that you have options, right? So that's important to me because a lot of people feel glued to what's in the text, like you have to do anything and everything, and that's not the case at all. Doing even numbers has been just fine. It takes a long time. And I like it because then if she misses a problem and then we do it together, I say, okay, now do this one on your own. And it's the next problem on the page. It's the odd problem that's there for me. So I enjoy that. So my point about this companion is I don't use it. So maybe in lesson planning, if I'm planning out our week, I might open it up and look at it, but so far I've only used it to study it to show you guys. Okay, so this could be helpful for some people though. But I definitely wanted to show you everything that was in the kit. I wanted to be honest about what we're using and how it's working for us, and I hope that I conveyed that to you guys well. If you have questions about how any of this works or our experience, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. I will never tell you that this is the best math out there, but this is the best math for us so far. And it's just been really a great fit. I considered putting her online at this 6th grade level. I don't know with who, but I just thought, oh my gosh, it's math 6. This is hard stuff. And I considered it, but you have to think to yourself, why? It's been working. Like we did the other 2 levels just fine. We have a rhythm. We know what we're doing. Don't fix it if it ain't broke, okay? Or if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sticking to it. And yes, it's more challenging. There are some things that I don't know. When I flipped through this textbook and showed you all the lessons, I definitely got some chest pains looking at what was coming. But guess what? I'm learning and growing with her. So as we teach the lessons, I've got the script. I'm learning how to do it again, just the same. And so it's been okay. Now ask me at the end of the year how I feel about this, and I'll tell you and be honest with you. But I just wanted to reassure those of you that are thinking about doing kind of a higher level math course with your kids, you can do it, especially if you've been working with them in the last couple of years. Like you're learning with them. You're in 6th grade math too at this point. Okay. So just have confidence in that, and you can do it. I believe in you. And that's what matters, right? All right. Ask me questions if you have them. I hope this was helpful to you. I got a lot of requests for BJU look-throughs, and I love looking through. And as you can tell, I love chatting about it as well. All right. Until next time.